Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you.
Let us prepare ourselves. If you put your hand over your eyes, I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
And now over your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
Now if you put your hand over your heart, just extend out your arms. I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that you are the author of your experience. You are the author of your experience. Now notice that I did not say you are the author of your conditions. We are not a church that believes that your individualized consciousness necessarily caused your illness. So while, of course, our lifestyle has something to do with heart disease and diabetes and other diseases, so often we hear people have a cold and somebody comes up to them and says, "What's in your consciousness?" We don't believe that. We don't teach it, and we actually punch people in the face. We are not a theology that believes that your individualized consciousness caused racist, sexist, or homophobic comments directed at you as you walk down the street. We are not a theology that believes that your individualized consciousness caused your adult children to get engaged in drugs and become homeless. We don't believe in any of that. But what we do believe is that how you view any of those conditions, and more conditions than that even, will determine your experience of them. It will determine how happy or sad you are. It will determine how successful or unsuccessful you are. It will determine how depressed you get or how filled with expression you have in your life. Today, I want to talk about a new concept I've been reading about called the Untethered Soul. I'm going to be using the work of both Michael Singer and Alan Cohen for today's sermon. And Singer says this: most of us have our souls tethered to our ego instead of to spirit. Most of us have our souls tethered to ego instead of spirit. Now the dictionary says this: your ego is a description of your self-esteem, of your personal self-worth. Now look, we are not a smash the ego congregation. We don't believe in it, we don't teach it, we don't do it. We want you to have a strong sense of self-worth. We want you to have a strong sense of self-esteem. There's not a minister or a practitioner in CSA that would ever do anything but improve your personal sense of self-worth. Because we know that hurting people hurt people. And that's what happens when we have low self-esteem. We try and get somebody else's self-esteem a little lower so we feel a little better. We don't teach that. We don't punch people for it. We don't teach but here's the thing. We want your self-esteem to come from your spirit. We don't want it to come from your bank account. We don't want it to come from your flashy ride. We don't want it to come from how many windows you have in your office. We want it to come from inside of you, from your soul connection. Not to your connection to your history, not to your connection to the conditions of your life. Alan Cohen was asked by a friend once how he would spend 546,600 big ones. And Alan Cohen responded by rattling off a few things that he would purchase with 546,600 big ones. And the guy said, well, that's really interesting, but what I was talking about was minutes in a year. See, we're so good at budgeting our money, but how good are we at budgeting our time? How good are we at protecting our soul every single day? You know, there are opportunities out there in the world that we miss that are helping us to not only protect our soul, but feed our soul. Muhammad, who is the founder of Islam, said, if I had 2 loaves of bread, I would sell one of them and buy hyacinths, because hyacinths feed my soul. See, we have to look around every day and say, what is out there that feeds my soul, and how can I get more of it? The most important thing I'm going to say today is this: the quality of your life depends on how much you let life love you. The quality of your life depends on how much you allow life to love you. You know, because we're a practical church, I'm going to talk now about some very practical things that we can do this week to help us feed our soul, to help us protect our soul, to keep us from damaging our soul. See, if we want to keep our soul tethered to our spirit and not to the conditions, if we want to keep our soul tethered to our spirit and not to our personal history in life, there are some things that we have to stop doing. And one of the things that we have to stop doing is being so busy. We're too busy in our lives. But here's the thing. Being busy is a choice. Say that with me. Being busy is a choice. See, it's not a sign of a world gone crazy that's holding you into some kind of a busyness matrix in your life. It's a choice. It's not there by an over-demanding universe. You know, I see young parents, and I see the schedule that they try and keep. You know, they've got one child in dance, another child in soccer, and a third child is going to the science lab. And I think, gosh, how do they do that? They're just exhausted. How do they feed their own soul in situations like that? And I probably would be one of those parents because I've read the literature. Children who are involved in sports and after-school activities often do better academically. They often stay away from drugs, stay away from teen pregnancy. There's a direct correlation. So of course you want to keep your kid involved in anything you can get them interested in, don't you? And now there's a new push for us to get them away from screen time and get them outdoors. So now we're really wanting to get them scheduled into something for their own health. The problem is it takes time away from us feeding our own soul in our life. It's not only parents though. You know, all of us are too busy. Sometimes it's a matter of we're saying yes when our heart says no, I need to stop right now. Sometimes we want other people to like us, so we overextend ourselves so that they'll like us more. Sometimes we just get on this hamster wheel and we actually don't even know how to get off in our life. But here's the thing. If we want to, we have to. And Cohen has a thought, and I've been trying to work with this week. He says this, try this. He says, write down what you want to do during the day. And right next to what you want to do during the day, write down what you'd like to feel like when you're doing it. Do you want to feel like a person who's centered and calm and loving and giving? Or do you want to run around like somebody with their hair on fire? It's our choice. We have a choice. See, and if we begin to check it, we can say, okay, I want to be joy-filled. I don't want to be filled with so much stress in my life. You're not sure if you're stressed or not? Check in with your body. I can always tell if I'm too tired and I'm too stressed because I will get a sore throat every time. And Donna will sometimes ask me, do you have a sore throat? And I said, yeah, I do have a terrible sore throat. That's because you've been going too fast and going too far. Maybe for you it's a backache. Maybe for you it's your neck. Maybe for you it's a stomach complaint. But check in with your body because it will tell you how stressed you are. Some of us are over busy because we need to avoid our feelings. When my daughter was taken from me, my employer got 5 years of work out of me in 5 months because I couldn't stop. For me to stop would mean that I would have to feel my feelings. I'd have to feel the pain. But see, not stopping and not feeling the feelings simply delayed my healing. My running around was simply running away. It was running away with something that I needed to deal with in the first place. And I just use busyness as that. So we have to find a way for our soul not to be so busy. Maybe it's fewer commitments. Maybe it's finding more people to help us. But here's the thing. The choice of being busy is ours. It's not something the universe is putting on us. It is our choice. The Chinese have a character for the word busy that is a combination of the word kill and heart. Because we're killing our heart when we're too busy in our life. So the first strategy for learning how to feel your soul is stop being so busy. The second one is burnout, which is a close relative of being too busy in our life. Some of us, we are especially given to that if we're in the helping professions. Helping professionals are often the worst at not avoiding burnout. I have the most challenge in feeding their own souls because they're running around feeding everybody else's soul. You know, adult children are feeding their parents' souls. Spouses of chronically ill people are feeding their partner's souls. We have to begin to look at our own soul, not just everybody else's soul. I read a statistic the other day, and Mignon, I want you to close your ears, but the average career for a Science of Mind minister is 5 years. We go to school longer than that to become a minister. The average lifespan of a medical doctor is 10 years less than anybody else's lifespan. Why? Because of burnout in our life. Dawn and I figured out, for me, in order to save myself from burnout, because I love working with the church. I love all of you. I want to just do more and more and more. The problem is, I'll burn out. I'm not feeding my own soul. If my soul's not fed, you can't feed your soul, for heaven's sakes. And so we have figured out that in order for me to actually avoid burnout, I have to leave Sacramento once a month for 3 or 4 days. Just get away, because it's impossible, not because of you, but because of me, to not be a part, not be working while I'm here. You figure it out for you. There's something that you can do to lessen the burnout in your life. You'll need to figure it out, but you must, in order to be able to, God has bounty for us. God has bliss for us. God wants us to live a life of joy and happiness and abundance. But in order to do that, we have to be healthy in our soul in order to be able to receive it. Be careful that you don't wait until you build your career before you escape burnout. There are so many stories of people who waited too long before they started taking care of themselves. And then all of a sudden they couldn't take care of themselves. We have an opportunity here to use spiritual practice, because that's what this is. Avoiding burnout is spiritual practice. Taking care of your own soul is spiritual practice. The third one is thinking you have to do it all. Thinking you have to do it all. One of the reasons life is so challenging for so many of us is because we are trying to do it all, and we're tired. We're tired. And I don't care who you are, how much money you have, what your job is. If you're tired, you're cranky. If you're tired, you're not using the judgment that you need to use in your life. One of the reasons that we're tired all the time is because we think we have to do it all ourselves, And because we don't get this idea that God can only do for us what God can do through us. When you get the understanding that God can only do for us what God can do through us, we get the understanding that the person next to us has God working through them too, and it might just be for our benefit. But what happens is, if we do get the idea that we can't do it all ourselves and we need help, we can't see all the people. We're so worried about the outfit that they showed up in that we sort of don't let them help us. The first time I went to a recovery meeting, there was a couple there, and his name was Saddleback Charlie, and her name was Chrysler Sal. And I thought, where in the hell have I landed? And Chrysler Sal, she had this hairdo that was so sprayed that anytime she moved her head, the whole long hair moved with her. And I thought, you know what? Saddleback Charlie and Chrysler Sal are the reason I'm standing up here today. Don't worry about their outfit. Don't worry about how they came there. If they're there to help you, allow that help to come through you every single day. See, we forget that the universe is here to support us all the time. Albert Einstein said this: all scientific inquiry asks this one question: is this a friendly universe? All scientific inquiry asks this one question: is this a scientific universe? What if we asked ourselves that every time we went out the door? Every time we went out the door, am I going out to a friendly universe or a threatening universe? I'll tell you, if you choose the door to friendly universe, you will find friendly people. You choose the door of threatening universe, you will find threatening people, and you will have a difficult time accepting help from them. There's a wonderful story I've told before, and some of the reunion people may remember it. It's about a story of a little boy who's walking along a creek bed with his dad. And there was kind of a big rock there, almost a boulder. Not quite, but almost. And the kid says, "Daddy, do you think I can move that boulder?" And the dad says, "I know you can." So the kid pushes the boulder and pushes it. And it doesn't budge. And he lays down on his little back and he puts his feet on there and he kicks the boulder. Finally, he starts to cry. He says, "Daddy, I can't move the boulder." And the dad says, "Of course you can. You've forgotten one thing, and that is to ask me for some help." We have to ask people for help in our life. The last one I want to talk about today, the last thing that keeps us from having an untethered soul, is we forget to play. We forget to play. Grown-ups forget to play. See, I heard a story about a self-help guru who his little niece was visiting, and the niece said, "Uncle, what do you do when you get up in the morning?" He said, "Well, I get up and I brush my teeth and I meditate and then I make some tea and then I begin my work day." And she said, "Huh?" She said, "I just roll out of bed and play." We need to roll out of bed and play more often. Just for ourselves. Growing up can be tricky. You know, playing means many things for us. Go to the movie, go for a walk in nature, join one of our small groups. I'll tell you, a lot of those small groups are really fun to play in our life, especially adventure ministry. Play. Every week, play. I want to finish up with this idea of play now, don't put it off. Play now, don't put it off. This is one of my favorite sacred texts that I read from. It's called "Who Ordered This Truckload of Dung?" Inspiring stories of welcoming life's difficulties by the great Buddhist Ajahn Brahm. When I was 14 years old, I was studying for my O-level examinations in high school in London. My parents and teachers advised me to stop playing soccer in the evenings and weekends, to stay at home instead, giving the time to my homework. They explained how important O-level exams were and that if I did well, then I'd be happy. I followed their advice and did very well on the exams, but it didn't make me happy. Because my success meant now that I had to study even harder for the next 2 years for the A-level exams. My parents and teachers advised me to stop going out in the evenings and weekends, to stop chasing girls now, and stop chasing soccer balls, and to stay home instead and study. They told me how important the A-level exams were, and that if I did that well, then I'd be happy. Once again, I followed their advice and did very well. Once again, it didn't make me happy. Because now I had to study harder for 3 more long years for a degree at university. My parents and teachers advised me to steer clear of bars and parties in college, but instead to work hard and long at my studies. They told me how important a university degree was, and that if I did well, then I'd be happy. At this point, I started to become suspicious. I saw some of my older friends who had worked very hard and got their degree. Now they were working even harder for their first job. They were working extremely hard to save up enough money to buy something important, say a car. They told me, when I have enough money to buy a car, then I'll be happy. When they had enough funds and they had bought their first car, they still weren't happy. Now they were working hard to buy something else, then they'd be happy. Or they were struggling in the toil of romance, looking for a partner in life. They told me, once I get married and settle down, then I'll be happy. Once married, they still weren't happy. They had to work even harder, even taking extra jobs to save enough money for a deposit on an apartment and an even small house. They told me, when we have bought our small house, then we'll be happy. Unfortunately, paying off the monthly installment for the house loan meant they weren't very happy. Moreover, they now wanted to start a family. They would have children to wake them up at night, swallow up their spare money, and increase their worries in quantum leaps and bounds. It's not that bad. Now it would be another 20 years before they could do what they wanted. So they told me, when the kids are grown and left home and settled down, then we'll be happy. By the time the kids had left home, most of the parents were staring at retirement. They continued to postpone their happiness, working hard to save for their old age. They told me, when I retire, then I'll be happy. Our souls want to be liberated from our ego. Our ego is important. Our self-esteem is important. But let's liberate our souls from the conditions and the history of what we call this life, and attach it back up to spirit. Let's take this message. Knowing that there's only one power, it's the power of love, and it flows through me right now. Knowing that there is a power for good in the universe that always says yes. Yes to more abundance, yes to more love, yes to more connections, yes to more friends, yes to more security, yes to more adventure. That's what the power of the universe says. I give thanks for that. I release this word into